All right, chapter 10, listing agreements. In this chapter, we're going to talk about different types of listing agreements and identify information that's necessary for disclosure and how we go about properly pricing the property. So there's a saying in real estate. A listing is what is a listing, first of all? So we're talking about listings here. So a listing is when a property owner hires a real estate agent, the brokerage, to market their property to help them find a ready, willing, and able buyer or renter. And there's a saying in real estate, it's very important. I know this because I say it a lot. If you don't list, you won't last. You could last, but you'd be running around like a chicken with your head cut off all the time. You can't take a day off work. And you can't go on vacation because if you're not constantly running people around who are buyers or renters to find a property, you're not getting paid. You're not writing up contracts, you ain't getting paid. But if you got a listing, hey, you could stay home sick, you could go on vacation, and other agents will be making appointments to show your listings and putting in offers. And then you close on a deal and you still get paid, right? Isn't that great? And you get the added bonus. What's the added bonus? Anybody know what the added bonus is there? You can get buyers that contact you directly, and then you get both ends of the deal. Twice the commission, one transaction. Cha-ching. Can you hear that cash register? Cha-ching. So agents should spend about 70%. This is my recommendation to you. Agents should spend about 70% of their time trying to get listings. And don't forget to reinvest in your business. When you close on deals and you get commissions, don't spend all that money. Put some of that money to the side, talk to your accountant how much you need. Probably around 15%, but who knows? I don't know if you got money from other sources, so I don't know your tax information. So it's going to be at least 15% though. Put at least that amount to the side so that you could pay your taxes at the end of the year because you still have taxing liabilities. Keep track of all your expenses so that you could reduce your taxing liabilities, as business write-off expenses. And then take some of your money and reinvest it into your business to try to get more business and make more money, okay? Spend money on that advertising, spend money on better tools, spend money on your own, getting your own real estate websites to generate your own leads and not rely on the broker spoon-fed ones or doing mailings constantly, although they work. So working more with owners to concentrate on getting listings. And this slide goes over the explanation that I just gave you. But this slide is there for other instructors to make sure that they give you that explanation. Okay, so now we are on this one. Only a broker can act as an agent to list, sell, or rent another person's real estate. And they do so exclusively. The property owner will exclusively hire one real estate agency to exclusively represent them to market their property to help them find a ready, willing, and able buyer. So we only take exclusive listings, at least when we put them in the MLS, the multiple listing service. Now, New Jersey statute of frauds, that's a law. New Jersey statute of frauds stipulates that to be entitled to a commission on a real estate transaction, a listing broker must have their written authorization to act as their broker, basically that they hired you. You can't just start advertising someone's property and then find them a buyer and say, well, now you owe me a commission. Did they even hire you? Right? And you can't start advertising someone's property even without their permission. So we can't market an owner's property without their permission. Their authorization is required to be in writing in order for us to be entitled to a commission. These days, we have those mandatory brokerage service agreements now that we need to, and that talks about the commissions. A listing agreement must also be supplied to the owner within 5 days if we're taking a verbal listing. Don't take verbal listings, always get it in writing. Even though you're allowed to take a verbal listing if you follow up with getting it in writing within 5 days, don't do that. First of all, when you get a listing, you got to put it in the MLS within 48 hours.
48 hours.
Okay. And then the MLS is going to want the paperwork for that too. So it's not advised to take verbal listings. The owner can always change their mind. I did this once, never again. I took a verbal listing. The couple, they were so excited. They were going to list their property with me. And they went away for the weekend and they said when they come back, they were in a hurry. They had to go. When they got so they called me. They said, yeah, we decided we're going to list our property with you. So you could put the listing in the system. When we get back after the weekend, we'll meet up with you and have you sign the paperwork. It's like, okay. Did that. Monday, no call. Tuesday, I give them a call. I'm like, hey, you're supposed to give me a call so we can go over that paperwork. I got to get that in the system so I don't get in trouble. Yeah, you know what? I was talking to my wife when we were away. She totally forgot. Her sister just got her real estate license. So she was talking to her sister, and her sister got her real estate license. So we're actually going to give her a shot at it. So we're going to list it with her. Fudge. I already put it in the computer system. Now I'm going to get in trouble for not having the paperwork to be able to supply it. So I called up the MLS begging and pleading, don't fine me for not having the paperwork. They said they were going to sign it with me and So I was able to talk my way out of it and I didn't get in trouble. But and I was able to change the listing to cancel it. But yeah, don't do that. I learned for that lesson. Don't only in writing. Don't take verbal listings. Okay, so here we highlight on page 165, New Jersey Statute of Frauds stipulates that to be entitled to a commission on real estate transactions, a listing broker must have a written authorization to act as the client's broker. Then we'll also highlight that the agreement must state the rate or an exact amount of commission that's to be earned by the broker and must specify a definite termination date. They put that as one run-on word there, definite and termination. There's no space there. But it's supposed to be definite termination date in the agreement. Yeah. You put in the listing when the start date is and when the end date is. Make sure you don't leave the end date blank and fill it in later when you're not around that owner, because you should have discussed with them. How long of a listing you giving me? Don't fill it in and be like, oh, I forgot to, after they signed it already, then fill it in and then be like, oh yeah, I forgot to give you your listing. Here you go. I'm like, wait a minute. When did we talk about this listing being this long? So that's usually an exam question to just make sure that you get these things right. The rate or the exact amount of commission has to be specified on the listing agreement, and it must specify a definite date of termination for it to be valid. Now, if the agreement's entered into orally, don't take verbal listings. The broker must deliver a written memorandum of the agreement to a client within 5 days of the agreement. So with an oral agreement, the broker cannot earn a commission if they effect the sale before that memorandum is delivered. Because you have to have the written authorization in writing. Okay. So listing agreements, brokerage service agreements, they must state the following to be valid. Listing agreements in some MLSs no longer talk about commissions after the NAR lawsuit settlement. Some still do, like the Garden State MLS. Their listing agreement is combined with the brokerage service agreement, which states the commissions as required under the new law changes as a result of that NAR lawsuit. In a bracket, and it's not closed. Right? There, Listing agreements have to state the rate or exact amount of commission that's to be earned by the broker. In New Jersey, the brokerage service agreements cannot have commissions pre-typed in. It has to be a blank line, and you write in what the commission is. And it has to be expressed as a percentage of the sale price or a fixed dollar amount. You're not allowed to have prescribed fee schedules like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10%, circle one or check next to the one that you want. That's not negotiable. It has to be a blank line that you write it in. And you must specify a definite date of termination when the listing ends. So there's three kinds of listing agreements we're going to go over: open listings, exclusive agency listings, and exclusive right to sell listings. The first one I really don't consider a listing at all, because the owner is not loyal to us, and they're listing with as many agents, all acting as their agents. No, thank you. Not wasting my time or money or effort on somebody who's not going to hire me to work exclusively for them. Plus, we can't put open listings in the MLS because they're giving the listing to many agents, not just one. Were they going to have the same listing in the MLS 20 times? So what is an open listing? It's open to any number of brokers, all representing the owner as their agent, to market their property, but not exclusively as their agent. It's an open relationship. Think of it that way. Okay? So because the owner is not bound only to one agency, there's no need for an expiration date in the listing. They're not listed in the MLS, and only the agency who brings the buyer will be paid a commission. So they're not even paying you the full commission. They're just paying the buyer's side. So what is an open listing? A seller is telling you, because they're not committing to exclusively work with a single agency, but the agency is bound to represent them and market their property. Yeah, I don't think so. Basically, what kind of open relationship is that? You're basically saying you're going to date whoever you want, but I cannot. I need to be exclusive to you. Put into business format, the owner's saying, I'm not exclusive to you, but you need to market my property and look out for my best interests. Go to hell, right? At least that's the way I look at it. So let's do the highlight here in the book. If you guys already got that highlight, I don't know. It says the same thing. And that's essentially what an open listing is. Remember, I told you guys, when we think about business relationships, try to liken them to personal relationships. It gives you a better understanding of this. Somebody tells you they want to be in an open relationship, but you cannot be in an open relationship. You're exclusive. Same kind of thing. It's a business, but in the form of a business relationship. Maybe not the most desirable situation. So, what does the word exclusive mean when we see it on real estate signs and listings? Could mean two different things. When it's on a real estate sign, the word exclusive, that just means it's a listing where the owner signed a waiver of broker cooperation that they're not cooperating with other brokers. They don't want it put in the MLS, and any buyers have to go through the listing brokers. Now, we do have types of listings that have the word exclusive in it that mean that only one agency is exclusively hired to represent the seller or owner of the property to market it for sale or rent. That's a little bit different. But when you see that wording on a real estate sign that says exclusive broker, that's not the same thing as an exclusive listing. That's a type of listing where the owner signed a waiver of broker cooperation. All right, so all listings must be entered in the MLS within 48 hours unless the owner directs us not to. And then we get them to sign a waiver of broker cooperation agreement. That's when they have the words exclusive broker, which is a little bit different than exclusive listing. Okay. So the waiver of broker cooperation, that's the form that we have to get the owners to sign at their request. We never should introduce it to the owner to get that secret pocket listing that only we can show to buyers to get both ends of the deal. It's only at their request when they request it, and then we have them sign it because it's our cover your booty form that makes sure that, because remember, licensing law requires us to cooperate with all other brokers. If we get a listing, it's available for us or any other agent in our office to show. It has to be available for agents from other agencies to show as well. That's according to the administrative code. The administrative code is known as Title what? Chapter what? You guys remember?
Title 4515.
That's the law.
Chapter
Title 11, Chapter
11,
5.
11.
Yeah, 11.5 is the administrative code. Those are the rules and regulations of the Real Estate Commission. Title 45, Chapter 15, that is the New Jersey statutes. That's the New Jersey real estate law. Okay,
I kind of have a question that's like a little bit off of what we're talking about, but since we're on brokers, so if a broker still sells a property, do they keep 100% of their commission?
what do you mean, the broker of record?
Mm-hmm. Like, for example, like a broker who's also acting as a salesperson, like, do they keep 100% of the commission?
So if you're talking about like a broker owner, right?
Mm-hmm.
If they get a listing,
Yeah.
do they keep the entire commission?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's two sides of a commission. There's the buyer side and seller side.
Mm-hmm.
So if they got a listing and they got the buyer too, then they keep 100% of the commissions, their company. However, if it's a franchise, they don't. They still need to pay the franchise fee. A percentage of that goes to the franchise off the top.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
But yeah, if it's their company, they got the listing, they got the sale. Yeah, they keep the entire side of the commission, whether it's one side or both sides, depending on who they were representing in the transaction. It goes to their company. Yeah. Now, do they got themselves on a commission split with the company? That may be possible. You know, the broker may not be the putting themselves on 100%, commission, keeping all of it, even though it's their company. Because remember, the company needs to stay in business too, and it has operating expenses. So the broker can't just take it all. Hey, this is my spending money. I stick it in my pocket. I mean, they can. I shouldn't say they can't, but it's not a proper way to run the business. The broker should put themselves on some sort of a commission split, just like their agents do. So a percentage of that commission goes back to the company. Because you got bills to pay for the company still. You got rent, you got all that. And how do they get that? From the brokerage's side of the commission. So agents pay a split with the company. The broker should as well. That's the proper way to do it. Do all brokers do things the proper way? No. Some don't even know how to keep their escrow books records in order. I've seen real estate commission investigators. They have meetings with us as instructors. We have to attend a full day seminar every 2 years with the Real Estate Commission. And the Real Estate Commission gives us a breakdown of what's going on in the industry and what they're seeing as a problem and changes that are coming and what we should be teaching in classes and stuff like that. And I've had an investigator, they got up there during one of these seminars and they were like, yeah, we're teaching these broker classes anyway, not to salespeople, but to the brokers. You guys got to focus more on teaching them how to keep their escrow records, because how to keep the escrow books. Because we've been coming across brokers that, they get deposits, they take the piece of paper and they put it in a shoebox. I don't know how they keep track of the records of how much money they have in the escrow account and who belongs to who, if they're just taking all the deposit slips and canceled checks and sticking it in a shoebox without actually keeping track of it in a software or an escrow book. It's a simple task to do, So that was interesting to find out, but yeah. Okay. This is referred to as pocket listings or exclusive broker when they get that waiver of broker or cooperation signed. You should not introduce that form to the owners only when they request that you don't, for whatever reason they have, want you to cooperate with other brokers. So the agent should never be the one that introduces that form. And we don't place these listings in the MLS because that's how we cooperate with other brokers and share the listing inventory. We put them in the MLS within 48 hours, right? According to the New Jersey Administrative Code, Title 11, Chapter 5. Now, note, as an added bonus to any exclusive listing, okay, this is just saying that if you get both ends of the transaction, if you're a listing agent, you got an exclusive listing, you get that added bonus, you get both sides of the transaction. Possibly. So both ends of the deal. I just had one of my agents call me yesterday, said he just closed on a deal. Hey, let me know that they're FedExing a document over. So that means I got to go over to my office now. And get that FedEx document that has the closing check in it. I can deposit it and pay him his commission on his $14,500 commission check. Bad deal. All right, so exclusive type listings, that just means we're exclusively hired to market the property. If it's a type where they had to sign a waiver of broker cooperation not to put it in the MLS, don't put it in the MLS. Because with this guy, what did he do? What did he do? He entered the property in the Cape May Multiple Listing Service without the permission of the seller. Not good. You need to get those listings in writing. So he got a $3,500 fine, had to take additional CE classes for that. Yeah, you need to have a listing in writing in order to market the property for sale. He just put it in the Cape May County MLS without even having a listing. Not good. Exclusive agency listings. Only one agency is exclusively hired. Listen, any listing that begins with the word exclusive, that means only one agency is hired to market the property. Okay. But we have an exclusive agency and we have an exclusive right to sell listing. You need to know the difference. So now we're going over the exclusive agency type. So you can highlight this in the book on page 166 while I go over the notes here. Other agencies can show the property. In an exclusive agency listing, only one agency is exclusively hired to market the property for sale or rent. However, the seller reserves the right not to pay us a commission if they find their own buyer. Now, this sometimes causes a conflict of interest between the agent and the owner who may be trying to avoid paying us a commission. I've come across these before. I avoid them. I've done them before. I refuse to do them anymore because it creates a problem. Because sometimes we come across buyers and they want to see every property on the market. So I'm not going to show you every property on the market. So instead, what I'll do is I'll give the buyer the address to certain listings. I'll send them listings if they want to see them or they're interested. I'll send them the address of a bunch of the properties that they expressed interest in and say, hey, when you get out of work, drive by them. See if you like the neighborhood. See if you like the way it looks on the outside, to save us some time if you want to even bother seeing them on the inside. Because then I'll set up the appointment and show you those properties. And this way we could filter out a lot of the properties without setting up appointments and taking you into them. But if I do that and they go over one of the properties and the owner's raking the leaves or cutting the grass and they say, hey, or sitting out on the porch, they say, hey, you want to see it? I'll show it to you. You want to take a look? Now the owner's going to be arguing about saying, hey, I found that buyer. They pulled up in front of my house and I pulled them in the house. Yeah, but they pulled up in front of your house either because they saw my sign or because I sent them over there. And I sent them over there because that's a buyer I was also working. Now, this shouldn't be much of an argument anymore because we have to have those brokerage service agreements when you're working with buyers. In the past, most buyers don't sign anything. Now, buyers or sellers have to have brokerage service agreements signed. So actually, that shouldn't be an argument much anymore. But in this type of listing agreement, an exclusive agency listing agreement, the owner reserves the right to try to market the property and find their own buyer. And if they beat us to the punch and they get their own buyer, they don't need to pay us a commission. That sucks though, because you're spending all this money on advertising and time and effort. And then they get their own buyer and you get nothing. So yeah, I don't like the idea of these listings. So I just won't take them. It's up to you what you guys want to do, what kind of listings you want to take. I don't want to deal with them. Plus, there's other headaches that come with this. I've seen, now this didn't happen to me. I've seen this on more than one occasion. I'll have a picture, actually, I think on the next slide that I'll show you, where they're trying to screw you out of your commission given any opportunity. So the owner pays us a commission if we find the buyer or if another agency finds a buyer, but not if the owner finds their own buyer. Okay, so that's why we highlighted exclusive agency listing. If a seller finds a buyer with no help from the broker, the seller retains the right to sell the property without obligation to the broker. That means if they find their own buyer, they don't pay us a commission. Yeah, not for me. No, thank you. Ever see something like this? If you're the buying public and you see, if you come across a house for sale and you see like 24 sale signs on the front lawn, what is that saying to you? What's your first impression?
They're desperate.
Desperate.
I agree with you. That's desperation right there. They may be willing to negotiate. Yeah. Whew. I've seen this happen. I've actually seen one like this where they actually stapled a bunch of these for sale signs, for sale by owner signs, onto the side of the house. And then there was an awning with a metal railing that they zip tied it to that as well. There was I mean, what are you doing? You know, you need a real estate agent to tell you not to do that. That is stupid. What are you doing? That's so desperate. I guess they wanted to make sure somebody saw the sign. But look, there's a real estate broker sign here too, amongst all these other for sale by owner signs. This tells me that's an exclusive agency listing. And they're trying to get people to call them and not the broker. They're trying to screw you out of your commission. Well, you know what? Our listing agreements actually have a line on them that says that our sign can be the only one on the property. There can't be any other for sale signs on the property. And with good reason. This is illegal. The municipality will fine the homeowner and possibly the broker if the broker does this and puts more than one sign on the property. Municipalities have sign ordinances. They allow you to put a for sale sign on your property. But you know, you're limited. You can't put up a big billboard on somebody's house in front of their front lawn, put up a sign that's 10 times the size of any other for sale sign. They have actually sign size limitations and how many signs you could place on a property. You would need to check with each municipality to find out what it is. I actually created a database of this. years ago. It's in need of updating, but because it takes a lot of time. But I actually had my secretary calling up every municipality, 500, all 564 municipalities in New Jersey, to create a database of their sign ordinances and instructions for getting the certificate of occupancy and fire inspections. Who do we contact? What are the contact info, and what are the costs, and any other specific rules that they may have that may be out of the ordinary. So I took the time, because I had a secretary that was sitting there often with, sitting there with your thumb up your butt doing nothing, hey, make some calls, put together this database for me. So I put them to work, and it turned out to be useful. All right, so yeah, this you don't want. I've actually seen them take this for sale by owner sign, and they put it, instead of sticking it in the ground, they attached it on top of the broker's sign, so it's higher up. And then over the broker's phone number, they put masking tape and wrote their own phone number. Why do you want to deal with that? You don't. That's an exclusive agency type listing. That's the kind of nonsense that sometimes you got to deal with, where the owner doesn't have to pay us a commission if they find their own buyer. So, yeah. Now, I only take this next type, the exclusive right to sell listings. How you like this meme? Recall issued for these signs. They've been proven ineffective. For sale by owner. Now, I'm not just saying that because I'm a licensed broker. There's actually been studies. Does anybody know what percentage of for sale by owners are successful in selling by owner? Take a guess.
10%.
Too high.
2.
5.
Yeah, it's closer to 5%. So I understand why homeowners want to sell by owner. Our commission costs a lot of money. It's thousands, could be tens of thousands of dollars. So I could understand why they want to save that money. Hey, give it a crack, try to sell by owner. But the majority of them, the vast majority, are unsuccessful. So are these potential possible listings for us? Yeah. However, if they just put their home on the market, they may not be too receptive. They ask, are you a real estate agent? Okay, well, I'm not listing right now. I'm trying to sell by owner, trying to save the commission. Okay. So what you should do, you should still approach them and say, okay, yes, I realize that you want to try to sell by owner, and I'm not going to try to change your mind in doing so. I understand why you're doing it. You want to save on the money of the commission, because I realize that it could be a lot of money, the commission. However, let me give you a few tips in selling by owner, okay, to assist you. You make nice, you have small talk with them. Don't be, F that guy, he's a jerk, you don't want to sell with me, you don't want to list, Don't get that attitude. Because that the likelihood is high, they're not going to be able to sell it. So if you're nice and you're pleasant and you give them some helpful tips and stuff, maybe if they're hot enough and they're ready to list with an agent, they'll call you. So leave them your business card. Let them know. Say, listen, unfortunately, the majority of for sale by owners are unsuccessful in selling their homes on their own. I hope you are successful and you're able to save all that money. I understand. I wish you all the best. But let me give you my business card in case at any point you decide you want the assistance of a real estate professional that does this stuff all the time. I got all the resources available, and I could get you way more exposure to your property. If you ever feel like you want a professional to help you, I'd be honored if you reached out to me and gave me that opportunity to work with you to sell your home. You never know. You could get the listing right there. Maybe not. Depends how you come across as well. So, And then ask them, if you don't mind, can you give me a tour of the house? Because I work with buyers too. I don't know if I have one that's for your house. You know, I don't even know how much you're asking for it, you know, or how you came up with the number. So how much are you asking for your house? Do you have a property sheet? And can you mind walking me around the house, give me a tour? I may have a buyer that's of interest in it. I don't know. I don't know how many bedrooms or baths. I don't know anything about your house. You mind giving me a tour? And then you make small talk with them. You know, you come across like that, friendly. Give them some tips. You know, tell them to be cautious about, you know, people who call up that want to see the house, about safety and stuff. You know, maybe doing background checks. Let them know, hey, you know, that's one of the things, one of the benefits when you hire a real estate agent. You know, we have you have a little safety involved because you have a real estate agent that is touring them instead of yourself. We keep you filtered from the public and your family because we're the ones that are making those risky contacts with the public. We also have errors and omissions insurance in case somebody steals something during open houses or showings or what have you. And you know, there's certain disclosures you need to go over to help you in the event of a lawsuit to help limit your damages. You know, like make sure you have you disclose to all buyers, be honest with them, and point out any potential issues or problems with your house, as well as any improvements you may have done. The law actually requires you to do that, and homeowners are usually unaware of that. So let me give you those tips to help you out a little bit. You know, there's a lot more to it than that, but you know, I just wanted to give you a few tips here. You know, when trying to sell on your own. I wish you all the luck. I hope you're able to sell on your own. But if you're not, please do give me a call. I love the opportunity to try to sell your home. Okay, and just leave it at that. And maybe you'll get a listing. Okay, try and give you guys some tips. Don't be like this guy. How stupid is this? Look at this sign. I took this picture. This was actually in Rahway. I took a picture of this. For sale, broker owner. A broker who doesn't think as much about, isn't as confident in his own company selling the property. He'll try to convince other people to list with him, but he doesn't even list with his own company. He put a for sale by owner sign basically on his front lawn, but also discloses in the process that he's a broker owner. Oh my God. Doesn't exactly scream confidence, right? These are the listings I like. You see that little guy right there? Look familiar? All right. I like these listings. These are the only types of listings that I take. Oh. Want me to explain this before we check out or just end it right now? We're already past the time. I didn't realize what time it was. What do you guys want to do? Explain the slide or save it for tomorrow?
Let's save it for tomorrow because we still have a couple more to go.
Yeah, we still got a little bit more in this chapter. Okay, so we'll explain the exclusive listing tomorrow. If you want to snap a picture so you can do the highlights and stuff in it now, go ahead. And in the meantime, let me throw out the end of class attendance poll for everybody. Everybody see the poll? Anybody not see the poll? Tell me now or forever hold your peace. Okay, you got it. Okay. All right, everybody, I shall see you tomorrow. Let me end this recording. And I'll see you all tomorrow.